MBK, Appendix 5, Brief Biographies of Main Characters. Appendix 5, Brief Biographies of Main Characters. Abhimanyu, the son of Arjuna and Subhadra, said to be an incarnation of the moon god Sama's son. He was slain in the battle of Kurukshetra when just 16. He married Uttara, King Virata's daughter, and fathered Parikshitadiratya, a leader of the Sudras, the caste generally employed as charioteers. He found Kṛṣṇa after Kunti had cast him away in a basket and raised him as his own son. His wife's name was Radha, and thus Kṛṣṇa was known as Radheya. Anivisha, a rishi who underwent severe austerities on Mount Mahendra. He was expert in the use of weapons, and both Drona and Drupada studied under him. He received the Agnyastra, fire weapon, from the rishi Bharadvaja, and passed it on to Drona. Akara, Krishna's uncle and a famous Vrishni. He was the commander of the Yadava army and also acted as one of Krishna's advisors. Alambisha, a Rakshasa who fought for Duryodhana in the Kurukshetra war. He was Baka's brother, and bore enmity toward Bhima because Bhima slew his brother. He killed Arjuna's son Iravan, and was himself killed by Bhima's son, Ghatotkacha. Amba, the king of Kashi's eldest daughter Bhishma abducted her from her Swayamvara to be his brother's bride. Having already committed herself to Shalva, Bhishma released her. When Shalva rejected her as a wife because she had been touched by another, she developed an intense hatred for Bhishma. She worshipped Shiva and obtained a boon that she would kill Bhishma in her next life. She was then reborn as Shikandi Ambalika, the king of Kashi's youngest daughter. She was abducted by Bhishma from her Swayamvara and married Vichitraviraya. Later she became Pandu's mother by union with Vyasadevambika, second daughter of the king of Kashi, abducted from her Swayamvara by Bhishma. She married Vichitraviraya and, after his death, became Dhritarashtra's mother by union with Vyasadeva. Angaraparna, a Gandharva chief, also known as Citraratha, who met the Pandavas when they were fleeing from Varanavata after the burning of the Lakhouse. Arjuna, third son of Pandu and Kunti, begotten by Indra. He is famous as Krishna's dear friend and he heard the Bhagavad-gita from him. He is known by 9 other names: Dhananjaya, winner of wealth; Vijaya, always victorious; Svetabhahana, he whose chariot is drawn by white horses; Falguna, born under the auspicious star of the same name; Kiriti, he who wears the diadem; Bibetsu, terrifying to behold in battle; Savyasachi, able to wield a bow with both hands; Jishnu, unconquerable; and Kṛṣṇa, dark-complexioned. The name Arjuna means one of pure deeds. He is said to be an incarnation of the ancient sage Narada. Ashvini Kumaris, twin gods who act as celestial physicians. They fathered Nakula and Sahadev through Madri. Ashvathama, son of Drona and Kripi. When he was young, his father was impoverished. Some of Ashvathama's friends, knowing that he had never tasted milk, once gave him a cup of water mixed with flour and told him it was milk. The boy drank it and danced in glee, saying, "I have tasted milk." His father saw this and was caught to the quick. It was this incident that inspired him to go to his old friend Drupada and beg. Ashvathama is said to be a partial expansion of Shiva. Babruvahana, son of Arjuna and Chitrangada, who became the ruler of Manipura. Balaka, younger brother of Shantanu. He lived a long life and was an advisor to Dhritarashtra. He became a commander in Duryodhana's army during the Kurukshetra war. He was finally killed by Bhima. Balarama, son of Vasudeva and Rohini. Said by the Vedas to be an eternal form of the Supreme Lord who sometimes appears in the material world to enact pastimes. More information about him can be found in the Bhagavata Purana, Srimad-Bhagavatam Bharata. A king in the dynasty of the moon god. All Kshatriyas are descendants either of Chandra, the moon god, or Surya, the sun god, who ruled the earth for thousands of years. The earth planet has been named after him, and it was common during the Mahabharata era to call his descendants by his name. Bharata was born from the union of King Dushyanta and the daughter of Kanva Rishi, named Shakuntala. The story of their marriage and Bharata's birth is recounted in the Mahabharata's Adi Parva. Bhimasena, Pandu and Kunti's second son, sired by Vayu, the wind god. After the Great War he was installed by Yudhishthira as crown prince. A story is told in the Skanda Purana that Bhima became a little proud after the war, considering that it was by his own power that he had achieved success in the war. All his brothers attributed their success to Kṛṣṇa. Wanting to curb Bhima's pride, Kṛṣṇa took him on Garuda and traveled a long way to the south, where they came to a great lake many miles wide. Kṛṣṇa sent Bhima to find the source of the lake. Bhima ran around its perimeter, but could not discover its source. As he ran, he encountered a number of powerful Yasuras. Bhima found himself unable to defeat them and he ran to Kṛṣṇa for shelter. Kṛṣṇa lifted and threw the lake away and dispersed the Yasuras. He said to Bhima, "This lake was contained in Kumbhakarna's skull, the Rakshasa killed by Rama in a previous age. The warriors who attacked you were from a race of demons who fought with Ravana against Rama." Bhima's pride was thus curbed. Bhishma, son of Shantanu, known as the grandfather of the Kurus. Although he never became king, he officiated at Hastinapur as regent until Vichitravirya was of age. He is said to be an incarnation of Daya, the chief Vasu. See Appendix 3. The original text of the Mahabharata contains an entire parva, the Shanti Parva, devoted to Bhishma's instructions on religion and morality, which he delivered while lying on the bed of arrows. Chitrasena, king of the Gandharvas, who taught Arjuna the arts of singing and dancing while he was in heaven. He later captured Duryodhana, whom Arjuna and Bhima had released. Chitrasena was also the name of a king of Trigarta who fought with the Kauravas, and also the name of one of Karna's sons, Devaki, Krishna's mother and the wife of Vasudeva, a chief of the Brishni clan. Details of her life can be found in the Bhagavata Purana. Domyat, an ascetic rishi who became the Pandavas' guru and guide. The younger brother of Devala, another famous rishi. Drishtadyumna, son of Drupada, born from the sacrificial fire. Said in the Vedas to be an expansion of the fire god, Agni. Drishtaketu, a son of Shishapala, king of the Chedish, who befriended the Pandavas and supplied them with an Akshayani division of troops for the Kurukshetra war. He was slain by Drona. After the war, his sister married Nakula. He was said to be one of the celestial Vishvadevas incarnating on earth. Dhritarashtra, the blind son of Vyasadeva, born of Ambika after the death of her husband, Vichitravirya. He became king in Hastinapura after Pandu retired to the forest. He was the father of the Kauravas. In the Bhagavata Purana it is said that, after practicing yoga, he achieved liberation, merging into the supreme Brahman at the end of his life. Draupadi, daughter of Drupada, king of Panchala, and wife of the 5 Pandavas. In her previous life she was an ascetic woman named Nalayani who received a boon from Shiva that she would have 5 husbands in her next life. The epitome of womanly skills, she once gave advice on how to serve a husband to Satyabhama, one of Krishna's principal wives. She was said to be an expansion of the goddess Lakshmi, also known as Panchali. Drona, Dronacharya, the Kuru's martial teacher. The sage Bharadvaja once caught sight of the Apsara Ghritachyana. As a result, semen fell from his body, which he caught in a pot. Drona was later born from that pot. He was taught by Agniveshaya and Parashurama, said to be an expansion of Brihaspati, the celestial seer and preceptor of the gods. Drupada, king of the Panchala province in Bharata. He was a staunch ally of the Pandavas, respected as the senior-most king among their allies. He formed an enmity with Drona after the latter had come to him for charity and had been refused. Drona finally killed him in the Kurukshetra war. Drupada was also known as Yajnasena, and is said to be an expansion of the celestial Maruts. Durvasa, a powerful rishi famous for his quick temper. The Puranas and Mahabharata contain many stories about Durvasa. He is particularly famous for having granted Kunti the boon that she could summon any god to do her will, which resulted in the births of the Pandavas from 5 principal deities. He is said to be an expansion of Shiva. Duryodhana, eldest of Dhritarashtra's sons and leader of the Kauravas. From childhood he formed an enmity with the Pandavas, which later resulted in the Kurukshetra war. He was killed by Bhima and went to the heavenly planets as a result of his adherence to Kshatriya duties. He was said to be an expansion of Kali, the god presiding over the Dark Age. Dushasana, Duryodhana's eldest brother and one of his inner circle of close advisors. He grievously offended Draupadi and the Pandavas, and as a result Bhima vowed to kill him and drink his blood. He did so during the Great War. Ekaluvaya, son of Aranyadhanu, a Nishada tribal chief. He became quite skilled in archery by worshipping Drona, but he was ultimately cursed by him. He was killed by Kṛṣṇa. Gandhari, daughter of the king of Gandhara, who became Dhritarashtra's wife. Having once pleased Vyasadeva by her service, she was blessed by the sage that she would have 100 sons. After marrying the blind Dhritarashtra, she covered her own eyes with a cloth for the rest of her life. She is thus famous as one of the most chaste ladies in Vedic history. She died in the forest with her husband and Kunti Ganga, a goddess who appears in this world as the river Ganges. She was Bhishma's mother, see Appendix 3. Her origin is described in various Vedic texts, including Bhagavata Purana and Ramayana. The river water descends from the spiritual world after touching Lord Vishnu's foot and is thus considered sacred. Ghitotkacha, the son of Bhima and the Rakshashi Hidimbi. He became a leader of the Rakshasas and assisted the Pandavas in the Kurukshetra war. Karna killed him with Indra's celestial Shakti weapon. Indra, king of the gods, also known as Purandara and Chakra. The Vedas contain numerous stories about this deity, who became Arjuna's father. Jarasandha, king of Magadha and a powerful enemy of Krishna. His father, Brihadratha, once approached a sage to seek a blessing to have a son. The sage gave him a mango, which the king divided into two, giving half to each of his wives. They each gave birth to half a child, and the king threw away the halves. A Rakshashi named Jara later found the two halves and joined them together, whereupon the body came to life. The child was then named Jarasandha, meaning joined by Jara. The Bhagavata Purana describes the history of his inimical relationship with Krishna. He was killed in a wrestling match with Bhima-Jayadratha, king of Sena, who married Dhritarashtra's daughter Dushala. When he was born, a heavenly voice announced that he would be a powerful warrior but would be beheaded by an enemy of unparalleled strength. His father, Vridhakshatra, then cursed whomever would cause his son's head to fall to the ground to himself die, his own head shattering into 100 fragments. He was killed by Arjuna at Kurukshetra. Kamsa, maternal uncle of Krishna who usurped the throne from his father, Ugrasena. He was killed by Krishna. Details of his life are found in the Bhagavata Purana. Karna, firstborn son of the Pandavas' mother Kunti from her union with the sun god, see Appendix 1. He became the chief support and best friend of Duryodhana, who made him king of Angad. He was killed by Arjuna at Kurukshetra and went to the sun planet. Other names of Karna include Vasusena, Vaikarthena and Radheya. Kripacharya, son of the sage Saradvan, who was once practicing asceticism in the forest when he saw the Apsara Janapati. He passed semen, which fell into a clump of reeds, and a boy and girl were born from it. They were named Kripa and Kripi. They were found and brought to Shantanu, who was later told of their origin by Saradvan. Kripa was taught Dhanurveda, the martial arts, by his father, and he became one of the Kuru's martial teachers. He survived the Kurukshetra war and counseled the Pandavas when they ruled the world. Later, they appointed him preceptor of their grandson, Parikshit. Kṛṣṇa, said by the Vedas to be God, the Supreme Person, who is the origin of all other incarnations of the Godhead such as Vishnu and Narayana. The Bhagavata Purana contains extensive descriptions of his qualities and activities. He spoke the Bhagavad-gita to Arjuna at the beginning of the Kurukshetra war. Kritavarma, a chief in the Yadu dynasty. A devotee of Krishna, he was the commander of the Yadu army. Krishna offered the army to Duryodhana for the Kurukshetra war, and thus they and Kritavarma fought against the Pandavas. Kritavarma survived the war, but was later killed at Prabhasa during a fratricidal quarrel among the Yadus. Kunti, the Pandavas' mother. She was the sister of Vasudeva, Krishna's father. Her own father, Surasena, had given her as a baby to his close friend King Kuntibhaja, who had no children. She was named Pritha at birth, but became better known as Kunti after being raised by Kuntibhaja Kuru, ancient king and founder of the Kuru dynasty, see family tree in Appendix 4. Due to his performance of sacrifice and asceticism at the site, the place known as Kurukshetra, named after Kuru, is considered sacred. Kuvera, Vaishravana, god of riches and one of the four universal protectors or Lokapalas, known as the celestial treasurer. Markandeya, an ancient rishi said to have lived through thousands of ages. The Mahābhārata contains many stories about him. Nakula, one of the twin sons of Pandu and Madri, begotten by the twin Ashvini gods. He was a Maratha warrior renowned for his expertise with a sword. He conquered the western regions of Bharata before Yudhishthira's Rajasuya sacrifice. Along with Draupadi, he married a princess of Chedi named Karanumati. Narada, a celestial sage also known as Devarshi, or the Rishi among the gods. He is famous as a devotee of Kṛṣṇa and frequently assists him in his pastimes on earth. The Vedas contain innumerable references to Narada's activities and teachings. Pandu, father of the Pandavas born to Vichitraviraya's widow Queen Ambalika by the grace of Vyasadeva Parashara, a powerful rishi, grandson of Vasishtha, who fathered Vyasadeva by conceiving him with Satyavati when she was still a maiden. Once Satyavati ferried the sage across a river and he was attracted by her beauty. He asked if he could have union with her, promising that by his mystic power she would not lose her virginity. She agreed and they united on an island in the middle of the river, which Parashara shrouded from view by creating volumes of mist. Vyasadeva was immediately born and grew at once to manhood. Parashurama, a rishi said to be an empowered incarnation of Vishnu. He is famous for having annihilated all the Kshatriyas of the world after his father, Jamadagni, had been killed by a king named Karnaviraya. An expert in the Vedic military arts, he was the martial teacher of Bhishma, Drona and Karna. The Mahābhārata contains various stories about his exploits. Pariksit, posthumous son of Abhimanyu, the Pandavas installed him as king in Hastinapura when they retired. He was named Parikshit, meaning the examiner, as the Brahmins said he would come to examine all men in his search for the Supreme Lord, whom he saw while still an embryo in his mother's womb. He became famous as the hero of the Bhagavata Purana from the sage Sukadeva Goswami Sahadeva, the youngest Pandava, one of the two twin sons of Madri fathered by the Ashvini gods. He conquered southern Bharata before Yudhishthira's Rajasuya sacrifice. Famous for his perceptive powers and intelligence, he was appointed as Yudhishthira's personal advisor after the Kurukshetra war. Besides being married to Draupadi, he married a princess of Madra named Vijaya. Sanjaya, Dhritarashtra's charioteer and secretary. Although he belonged to the Sudha caste, he was a spiritually advanced disciple of Vyasadeva, who gave him the power to see the events during the Kurukshetra war. Consequently, he narrated all the battle scenes to Dhritarashtra. Satyaki, a Vrishni hero who became Arjuna's martial disciple. He was a close friend of Kṛṣṇa. A powerful Maharatha, he fought for the Pandavas at Kurukshetra, surviving both the war and subsequent massacre of sleeping soldiers by Ashvatthama. He died at Prabhasa during the fratricidal battle among the Yadus. Shakuni, son of King Suvala and brother of Gandhari, acted as close confidant and mentor to Duryodhana. Although a powerful Kshatriya, he preferred cunning and underhanded methods to open combat. Said to be an expansion of the deity presiding over the Dvapara age, third in the cycle of 4 ages, he was slain at Kurukshetra by Sahadeva. Shalva, king of Sayubha, he fought Bhishma for Amba's hand after Bhishma kidnapped her from her Swayamvara. Due to his strong friendship with Shishupala, whom Kṛṣṇa killed, he became Kṛṣṇa's enemy. He attacked Dwaraka in the huge airplane he had received from Shiva. Said to be an incarnation of the Asura Ajaka, Kṛṣṇa killed him. Shalaya, ruler of Madra and brother of Pandu's second wife Madri. Although the Pandava's friend, and having a particular friendship with Yudhishthira, he was tricked by Duryodhana into fighting for the Kauravas at Kurukshetra. Said to be an incarnation of the Daitya Samlita, Yudhishthira killed him in the war. Shantanu, great-grandfather of the Pandavas and Kauravas, and Bhishma's father from his union with Ganga, see Appendix 3. After retirement, he went to Mount Arkika in the Himalayas and practiced asceticism, finally attaining liberation. It is said in the Bhagavata Purana that his elder brother, Devupi, still lives on earth in a place called Kalapa, awaiting the commencement of the next Satya Yuga, Golden Age, when he will become king. Shikandhi, son of Drupada and a reincarnation of Amba. He was born as a woman and later became a man by the grace of a yaksha named Sthunakarna. Remembering his enmity from his previous life, he vowed to kill Bhishma. It was due to him that Arjuna was able to approach and finally slay Bhishma. Ashvatthama killed him during the night slaughter of the sleeping Pandava warriors. Shishupala, king of Chiti and an avowed enemy of Kṛṣṇa. The Bhagavata Purana describes his previous existence as Jaya, a gatekeeper in the spiritual Vaikuntha world. Due to a curse, he and his brother Vijaya had to take birth in the material world for 3 lives as demons, His other two incarnations were Hiranyaksha and Ravana. Krishna killed him at Yudhishthira's Rajasuya sacrifice. Subhadra, Krishna's sister, said to be an incarnation of Yogamaya, the Lord's personified spiritual energy. Her birth is described in the Bhagavata Purana. She married Arjuna and they had a son named Abhimanyu. Unlike her co-wife Draupadi, no details are given in the original text about how she ended her life. Susharma, king of Trigarta and brother of Duryodhana's wife, Bhanumati. He led a huge army and concentrated on fighting Arjuna during the Kurukshetra war, having taken a vow to kill him. He was slain by Arjuna, Ulupi, daughter of the Naga king Karavaya, who became Arjuna's wife. They had a son named Iravan, who was killed at Kurukshetra. She married Arjuna during his 1-year exile from Indraprastha, only spending 1 day with him after their wedding. She was reunited with him in Hastinapura after the war. Uttara, a princess of Virata whom Arjuna taught dancing during his final year of exile. She married Abhimanyu and their son was named Parikshit Vasudeva, Krishna's father, after whom Krishna himself is named. Details of his life and previous births are given in the Bhagavata Purana. Vidura, son of Vyasadeva and a palace maidservant. He was said to be an expansion of Yamaraja, the Lord of Justice. Once a rishi named Mandavaya was mistaken for a robber. The king arrested and punished him by having him pierced by a lance. The sage later went to Yamaraja and asked why this had happened and was told that in his childhood he had pierced an insect with a blade of grass. Hearing that he had received punishment for a mistake made when he was still an ignorant child, the sage cursed Yamaraja to take birth on earth as a Shudra. Thus he became Vidura. Virata, king of Matsya, where the Pandavas spent their final year in exile. He joined with the Pandavas in the Kurukshetra war, bringing an Akshayani division of warriors. Drona killed him in the battle. He was said to be an expansion of the celestial Maruts. Vyasadeva, the sage who authored the Mahābhārata. Born from the union of Parashara Rishi and Satyavati, he is known as Dvaipayana because he was born on an island. See Parashara. He compiled the Vedas and is said to be an empowered incarnation of Vishnu. His son's name is Sukadeva, the famous reciter of the Bhagavata Purana. Yadu, ancient king and founder of the Yadu dynasty, in which Krishna appeared. See family tree in Appendix 4. Details of Yadu's birth and life are given in the original text of the Mahabharata and also the Bhagavata Purana. Yudhishthira, eldest Pandava, born from the union of Kunti and the god Dharma. He performed a Rajasuya sacrifice which established him as world emperor. Famous for his adherence to virtue and truth, he is also known as Dharma Raja, as well as Ujatashatru, which means one who has no enemies. After the war he ruled the world for 36 years and was succeeded by Parikshit. Author's note. As I stated in my introduction, I have tried my best to remain faithful to the original text of the Mahabharata, working mainly from Srimad-Bhagavatam's translation, the Calcutta edition of the Northern manuscript. I am most grateful to that scholar for producing his excellent text. Of course, after 5,000 years and at least as many retellings, one would expect there to be variations in the details of the story. The reader may thus have heard other details. Still, I think it is fair to say that the central story is common to almost all versions. One of my main aims was to make the work accessible without losing the spiritual message, a message given its fullest expression in the Bhagavad-gita. I would recommend everyone to read the complete text of Bhagavad-gita. I have presented it only in an abbreviated form in this book. My own references to the Bhagavad-gita text were taken from the translation with elaborate purports by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Bhagavad-gita UHSEDs. In parts, I found the Mahabharata translations in conflict with the Bhagavata Purana, and in such cases I deferred to the Puranic version. Again, I used as my reference Bhaktivedanta Swami's translation, published as srimad-bhagavatam. The Mahabharata is a Vaishnava text, intended to give us a better understanding of and attraction for the Supreme Lord, particularly in his original form as Krishna. The Bhagavata Purana deals specifically with the Lord's many incarnations, culminating in a description of Krishna's pastimes on earth. I was concerned to properly present this aspect of the Mahabharata, and therefore felt the Bhagavata Purana's version would be best. The differences are minimal, however, and occur mainly in the final chapter. As with Ramayana, my earlier work, I have used the omniscient voice. This is also how the original is presented. The book was first written by the Rishi Vyasadeva, who is said in the Bhagavad-gita Purana to be the literary incarnation of God. He was specifically empowered by the Lord to compile the Vedic literature. Even now he is said to be still residing somewhere in the Himalayas, practicing asceticism. In order to keep the story flowing, I have abridged some sections and omitted others. For example, there are lengthy narrations unrelated to the story of the Pandavas, such as the famous tale of Savitri. I omitted such sections. Perhaps in a later work I will present these stories separately. There is also one complete and lengthy parva devoted to Bhishma's instructions, Shanti Parva, delivered on the bed of arrows. I have also omitted that. His instructions formed 2 full books in my translation, worthy itself of a separate study. This is not an academic work. I have tried to present the original as transparently as possible, but, inevitably, in presenting the story I comment on the characters and action. I pray that by the grace of the great saints in our disciplic succession, which descends from Vyasadeva, my perspective has been consistent with his intended meaning. I hope in my attempt to share Mahābhārata with others I have not unwittingly offended anyone. I am open to hearing from my readers, and if any errors are found, then I will correct them in future printings. Thank you for reading the book.